And thank you very much for staying here for the last presentation of the conference. And as the youngest presenter, youngest speaker of this conference, I'm going to talk about PDAs as hackers Swiss Army knives. There is already a contradiction here. What the heck are we talking about? What we're talking about is that these phones today and these smartphones today are well known to all and widely used. I know that there are a lot of people here having one or two in their pockets. And in my opinion, these have two impacts, negative impacts on information security. One is, I think, quite clear, that the owner has all his data and documents and personal identifications on that phone, and it is then quite easy to obtain them. Either the owner loses the phone, or it's stolen, or Bluetooth. There is a Bluetooth hacking. But this is not what I would like to talk about. What I'd like to talk about, to the contrary, is to use this phone as a hacking tool, rather. So there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity to use this PDA to break into systems. Picit közelebb a mikrofonhoz. So these systems can be used to develop, but obviously they don't have the full functionality. Like, it's like set-top boxes. These are systems that are quite narrow in terms of functionalities and are very special or specific. And some of them run Windows Mobile and as an OS. And however, certain developers, what they did, they scanned labyrinth on these machines, on these PDAs. Now, how did this happen? Now, first of all, there are quite a lot of Linux developers who would like to devote their lives on using free software. Therefore, they said, here is my handheld, my PDA, which is using this nasty OS of Microsoft. Why don't we put Linux on it? And then this was the first step. Andrew Zabolotny, who created Harriet, which is a handheld reverse engineering tool, as an acronym. This is Windows Mobile and Windows CR systems that it can, platforms that it can run upon. It helps the development, working as a telnet server. So if you connect through a USB, you can actually get a lot of information that you need during devolution, like memory addresses, chip types, and so forth. And this is very important because the whole thing is about the fact that the vendor or the manufacturer creates the phone the way they want to create it. Therefore, two phones might be different. What is even more important in case of Harriet is that it can load a binary picture, kernel image into the memory. And why this could be a boot sector for the phone, throwing out Windows Mobile and living its own life. The first bigger project was the handhelds.org project, supported by HP. This was between 2002 and 2004, including volunteers. HP thought that it would be possible to crack Windows Mobile's rule or supremacy by creating a system that would discard with Windows Mobile at least the supremacy or the monopoly thereof. Therefore, they created this development group for two handhelds. These were HTC Blue Angel and HTC Universal. The HTC is a Taiwan-based company. I'm going to talk about them later on. Now, how did this continue? I don't want to go to historic depth. Anyway, distributions appeared for specific devices, and there were programs here. First, they were just working with one device, and then they became general. Was the handshake possible? Yes. Once we have the kernel, the Linux kernel, and we can boot in, and then we have all the drivers we need, then from then on, it's an ARM architecture. An ARM architecture, it's an embedded system which can make this platform to run any systems that know ARM. Now, whatever distributions we do know from the first group, which is the device-specific distributions. Tichy Linux is the latest one, which is a special Debian, an RM Debian, which was made for an HD Universal PDA by an Englishman. And this actually has daemon, packet management, and so forth. So the Linux support that it would like to ensure here. And there is an even more universal, which is JLime. That's for HPCs. We are going to talk about that. The Xubuntu, which is Ubuntu for Sharp Zaurus devices. Rubuntu, which is the latest HTC ROM ARM Ubuntu, which is again available for a lot of devices. Approximately all the HTC devices released in the last 2 years can support that. But then Android appeared, and I think a lot of people heard about Android, and I think it's worth talking about. So what the heck is Android exactly? Who are the ones who have Android mobile phones? Good. There are a couple of us here. Is anyone who knows what Android is about and how it works? Okay, let me tell you. That's to be on the safe side. So Android is a op system developed by Google, by another company which Google acquired. And then the architecture is the next. We have a Linux kernel which actually carries out all the dirty work, like device drivers are there, memory management is there, and in addition to that, you have a Java virtual machine. And the JVM is actually providing you with the user interface and all the applications that you're using. And then the two thing is actually connected by Google stuff, binding device libraries and so forth. What this is about, this is a binding device, a so-called binding device, which ensures the inter-process communications or promotes inter-process communications. What the point here is that the programs can communicate through that, and then you have certain libraries for development purposes, and more or less that's it. Now, how does this come here? Now, if we have a Linux kernel, then we are already in a good position, and then you have the Linux kernel ported down to handhelds. Therefore, a lot of old devices also now run this because they thought that Android is a good thing and it would be good to run on the old machines as well. And then we will just launch the Android upon them, and then we can use all of these handhelds which are now outdated. So this is how Android contributed to the fact that Linux kernel projects were launched and were successfully completed. Now, what are the devices that we can use for Linux? I've divided them into two types. One is the group that was basically not supporting that. But they reported to that either as a handheld.org project or because of the Android breakthrough. These are the PDAs and the smartphones, HTC Universal, HTC Kaiser, Touch Pro 2, and a lot of others. The reason I listed these ones is because these are the ones here with me. And also the handheld PCs. Now, handheld PC, that's a very narrow product line. This was very significant in 2004, late 2004, when the laptop's battery life was not that long. And these are ARM net. We would now call them netbooks, okay, which provide you services that were not very much known by handhelds, like USB port, large keyboard. This was for businessmen who could, just take it for them when they are on the road, and they can work, they can write letters, they can browse the internet, and so forth. But then they just died out because there was a major revolution of laptops, and this took over. However, some of them are still here, and this are now can run Linux. And then the official ones, the ones that were made as such by the manufacturers, by the manufacturers. There are the old Sharp Zauru series, which is old, the Nokia Internet tablets, so to say, which had the Maemo Linux, N800, N810, and the new N900, and more devices and novelties are expected because Nokia and Intel just teamed up recently, and their objective is to have a new Linux-based system, which is going to be the MiGo. Now, how this is going to affect hacking, we don't know because we don't know the specs yet. Now, why should we have Linux on our phone? Because when you have Windows Mobile or any of the vendor system, which is quite user-friendly, I know how to use it, why do I need this whole Linux thing? And then the developer says, well, that's open source, so you can turn your phone into an open source device instead of running Microsoft. Quite often it is faster than Windows Mobile. It makes your handheld more handy, so to say, and it also makes it possible to run certain applications that were not available earlier under the other operating system. Like you can use your phone as a hacking tool. Why should we hack with the help of a mobile phone? What I was motivated by was Silica. This is a device created by a company called Immunity. This is an ARM tablet with a touchpad, with a touch screen, rather for enterprise users, which is also capable of Wi-Fi hacking, and also penetration testing capabilities are there. Therefore, this is quite a good tool. But there is a problem here. Obviously, the price, which is like $3,600. Come on, man. You're kidding me. This is something that can be welded and soldered in China for $10, and then here is $3,600. So there should be something simpler than that. So, and why? Because let's just imagine you go somewhere with your phone in your pocket, which is always with you, and then there is a whole hacker Swiss Army knife that you can use for anything. I think this can be really handy at certain occasions, and it's also good fun. Now, let's talk about the devices themselves. First of all, HTC Universal. I'll try to use the camera in such a way that those sitting in the back would also see the device. That's where it's supposed to be. Yeah, VLC. Okay, let me open it. Good. Open it, please. VLC nowadays is quite sort of slow, and it died already 3 times. This is why we have this delay. Anyway, I'm going to show you during the demo. Probably it's going to run. This is HTC Universal. This is an old 2004 device which can run Linux. It is not going to be part of the presentation because it's quite unstable. No development anymore. You can see that there is a full QWERTY keyboard, which is capable, which is very good for Linux command entering, and also it's quite handy. It's also quite small and fits into your palm. Then the second, HTC Kaiser, which is a much smaller and much better looking, much more sexy device. However, it's quite thick. It also has a QWERTY keyboard. It's a smaller display, but with 3D, however, and with Wi-Fi and GPS. Now, you're watching the networks, and then you can also save your GPS coordinates. But the Wi-Fi driver here is not working properly, so this is what I'm working on nowadays. Therefore, this is not going to be part of the presentation. Let me show you the device which actually will be part of the presentation. I'm not going to lift it. At least I'll try. It's this. Now, this is the HPC. You can see the HPC features, a big keyboard, big screen, and it also has a PCMCIA. Everyone knows what it is. A PCMCIA slot where you can put in your PCMCIA, and also a USB host, which I never tried on the USB. What is, however, today's phone, to show you something more recent is the HTC Touch Pro. This is going to run raw Ubuntu, And it also has a QWERTY. It has much more RAM, so it's much more user-friendly to Linux. And in addition to that, the processor is also a higher power processor, a more powerful processor. So Touch Pro 2 and the HPC 900C, these are the ones that are going to be part of the presentation. Let me go where I have to be. So this is what I'm talked about. So live demo, these are the two devices. I know web cracking, okay, it's not a big deal. However, web cracking with a PDA, come on, huh? That's maybe something. I think that's already an achievement for such a small device. So we are now going to crack the web code of a router, and then the other one is going to be, we will hack into a prey machine, and we'll get the victim machine, and we will also get the, this is going to be by running Metasploit. Those who were here yesterday know what sort of exploit we're going to use here. So these are the two things that we are going to do during the course of the live demo. What is with the camera? You're on air? Yes. Now that's set. There are two VSEs. Oh, thanks. Now we have the camera picture. Good. Now, this is why you're here, guys. Huh? This is the point of the conference, so that you also profit something. Okay, let me first show you. Let me sit down. Let's look at the Touch Pro 2. We're going to zoom on that. I will launch the Linux on the other one. I will let it boot. So the storage card is not a big thing. I will launch, I'll run one exe, booting Linux. And it started to run Linux. This is how Linux is loading. Now, let me leave it load, boot. And let's go to the Mobile Pro 900. The display is not a big deal here, so I don't know what you can see from there. I go from root. There is a mounting command that I have to do because this kernel is not actually, it requires this. Now, I'm mounting it. There's a Wi-Fi card inserted. Let me just load the modules. Nothing can be seen. Maybe if the lights would be dimmed, because that's just... Okay, let me go to modules. And then this is the kernel 19, and I try to driver C, whatever it is. Yeah, here it is. Now I say airmon minus ng, ng. Airmon minus ng, and I launch. No, it's not. The picture is not better, but anyway, start WLAN WLAN 0 on port channel 19, monitor mode allowed, and let's just look around what's there. Channel 11 with WLAN 0, and then. There is a couple of Wi-Fi clients. Okay, let me find my own SSID. 11 channels, so many of us. Zero, zero, zero. The SSID, this is 004. 2 FDCB EB. Now, this looks much better. Fake authentication, however, does not work. Therefore, I need a client which is connected, the MAC address of which I'm going to use so that I can start injecting packages into the system. Let me stop this with the airmon and the card. and I will just switch the MAC address to the client. WLAN 00 HW whatever 018 41 8B 6589. With this MAC address, now I bring back the Wi-Fi card WLAN 011, arrow dump, launch again, and then in SMC I will write. Now let's see where we are right now. Let me open another console, and here air replay -ng -3 -g. I will send it to access point with access point MAC. E2 FD CB, and EB is the end, and WLAN 0. Okay, let me send an ifconfig so that I will find out my own MAC address.
IP address.
What?
IP address.
Now, it is -H 841 whatever. Now I'm going to cheat here a little bit, because I'm going to ping an address which is not on the network in order to generate a package, because we don't want to sit here for another 100 years. Now those who see, it started to inject the RP packets, and you can see that data is going up, but an RP request is now injected into the system, therefore, as a result of which the access point starts to answer, and this provides us with a lot of secured encoded data, and we would like to use this to find out the web key. It's not a long time, 5 to 10 minutes, and we could wait for that, but because everyone wants to get home within today, I'll stop this, and I have a capture, which is here, and I'm going to send aircrack on it. -Z, enter. This will run for about a minute. There are 14,000 codes. There is a statistical analysis, and we've tried to find the key which is the most probable in terms of being the network key. And then with that key, we will try to hook up, to connect to the airport, the router. It is here. Now, Metasploit, this is a Metasploit, and obviously it takes some time before it boots. Therefore, let me launch this so that we'll gain some time. This is loading, and let me start the virtual machine that we want to use as a hacking tool. This is a VirtualBox thing. Okay, this is going to run. Now, aircrack is still working. It is supposed to find it. Oops. Those who see it, no. I'm sorry. Okay, it's going to be here. Yes. 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. And it's 100% correct. Now, so with this machine, with an ARM machine, it is possible to run aircrack and to crack. Now, let's say it's a small hotel where there is a Wi-Fi router, and then they put a web key. And then this software is being run. And let's say this is where they have the guest data. And then with my small phone, I can first crack the network, and then I can connect to the network. After connecting to the network, I'll send my Metasploit. With the Metasploit, I will send an exploit, and with that, I will do whatever I want, so I could dump out all the data of all the guests that are stored in the database. This would be the objective. We are now waiting for the Metasploit, which takes time before it launches. Let me see how. Let me see what is with our victim computer. Now, this is up and running. Let me launch services. We will see whether this X server is running. Yes. Let me see the IP address of this computer. Now, those who want to start from one step earlier, you could do it in such a way that you run Nmap on your PDA, because this is possible. I have it installed, but I didn't have the time. And then with Nmap, you can map the whole network. Anyway, this takes time, and it's not as effective as if you did it from a computer. But it is still on such a level that if these computers go develop further for another couple of years with better processors, more powerful processors and RAM, then there will be no difference whether I do the hacking with a laptop, which is visible, or my smartphone, which is invisible. Sorry, and also. And if you're a businessman and you're wearing your suits and tie, and then you just during the break you just use your phone as a hacking tool to dump out everything, and then you go home, and then you have all the information of everyone at the company you were visiting. So it is not the notion. I mean, it's no longer the stereotype. No longer holds that only the the unwell dressed person with the laptop is the hacker. Also now, and sorry for that stereotype. Again, let me just narrow this window so that we could see the virtual machine together with this. Although the exploit is not that good, but okay, I'm here. So what I'd like to show you with exploit is the next use. Let's see what sort of options we have. We have a couple of them. I should see the options here, but let's wait. Anyway, it was supposed to write the length that we want to attack and the local host as well, what we are going to connect to. Actually, that's approximately the options that I can set here. It's a demo effect, again, so you can laugh because, if it's not working out. And again, it is writing a lot of things. I'm now connecting to the network, and then we can see that I will use the key that I just cracked recently. I'm going to use that to log on the network. Okay, this is the network manager. We will try to find the network, the network. Okay, we have a couple of them. Let's just find the one that is ours, quote unquote. Okay, we have to refresh it again. And then now it's refreshing, yes. Okay.
Na, jó, most már látok hálózatokat. És csak a sajátomnak kéne valahol itt lennie. Anélkül hiába Metasploitozok.
That bit too many networks here, Linksys. Anybody running a fake AP just to know? Nobody is trying to hack me at the moment? Just to clarify this. Okay. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but someone I thought might have tried to, based on the previous presentations. So I set Metasploit because it's now finished. Okay, so I set the air host, that is 192.168 or whatever. That is the vector machine. I have to check the local host. I think it's at 113. Oh, there's no local host yet. And still not on the network. If anybody wants to develop on this, then he should try to make this CD manager a bit faster. Okay, I usually get 113 back for the local host. The AP is running, the access point. We cracked that earlier, so it must already be up and running, and it is. Does IWconfig has an option that allows me to connect to a web access point from the command line without the graphics thing running?
Nem működik a...
I enter the key that I've decrypted. I have to resize the screen to make it show what I want to see. I should be connected at this moment now. 8.0.108. I'm going to ping it. No network. It could be that this web crack killed my access point. That's the reason I'm not seeing what I want to. It should be pretty shitty, to be honest. But you can see the Metasploit is running. I set the payload. Windows/shell. No, Windows/meterpreter. Reverse TCP. The beauty in Metasploit is that I can set a payload on the PDA and it will work on any x86 based machine, because the whole thing is written in Ruby, which is an interpreter based language, and it is okay. I think I'll have to I'll then connect to Hacktivity open. And I'll just connect this computer to the same network as I am in, then maybe something will happen. I should now have a different IP address. Let's check the bridging. It's bridged to the wireless.
Na jó, úgy látom, hogy akkor a demo effekt.
Okay, we see Murphy at work here. The demo effect has hit me, so I don't want to take much more time. Okay, Metasploit started up. You've seen that, and you should just believe me when I tell you that this actually does work, and it really does. I did this yesterday on the same computer, but whatever, I have 3 or 4 slides from my presentation I'd like to show you. So this was a live demo. Everybody have seen it and liked it. In the near future, what we can expect is that the HTC Kaiser's Wi-Fi driver that is currently being unstable, we are working on it. I started porting Ubuntu on it, so Kaiser, which is currently 20 to 30,000 forints worth, will be useful for running Ubuntu that fully supports aircrack and Metasploit. So the Immunity Silica has actually created a competitor that provides similar devices for a lot less money. And as for the later future, we can expect even more powerful handhelds, providing even more options, and this presents a source of danger, or will present a source of danger for people who may become targets. This could be a reality soon. This is something that I feel my heart for. So you can ask questions if you want. I'd like to thank my friend Manu Molnar, who helped me by handling the camera, and also to Christopher Eriksson, who created JLime and ported the 2.6.19 kernel expressly for my request. Ported this kernel to my device because I need it for aircrack. And I owe thanks to all developers working on the Ubuntu, Metasploit, aircrack, and G-Android and on HTC projects. So, right, now's the time to ask questions. Okay, you all have smartphones. You should have questions. Anybody in the back? Wave, please. Yep. Okay, I wave, but I have no question. Okay, I won't give away my presenter T-shirt because this is my first fail, and I hope the question will be repeated because I can understand a word of it. So the question was, if I understood you correctly, whether you can run Android natively on a device that is not designed to do that. No, okay. I haven't talked about this, but yes, the question was, can we use native Android devices to hack? Well, I never had an Android device. I only had devices that ran Android ported. The major problem is the Java system that cannot be really used to change the kernel. There are terminal emulators that allow you to inject commands to the kernel, but a lot of the tools are missing and cannot be installed mostly. What may make this change is the new Android, the Android 2.2, that will allow you to utilize the hardware functionality so programmers can better connect to the device without Android censoring this. And this may bring some changes, but at the moment there is no possibility for using a native Android device to run these tools. Or Metasploit has a port that will soon be ready, but Wi-Fi hacking will probably not be running on these devices at the moment. Port scanner that you may run. You may run a port scanner on native Android devices. Anybody else keeping the rest from going home? Okay. Thank you for your attention, and that was my presentation.